Welcome to another episode of Whitetail Rendezvous, coming to you 6 days a week as we interview whitetail experts and hear their traditions and personal stories of the hunt. Learn more about the latest gear, discover proven tips, and the latest strategies so you can make your next hunt a success. Now here's your host, Bruce Hutchin.
Hey, this is Bruce Hutchin, your host and executive producer of Whitetail Rendezvous. We're heading up to northeastern Iowa, almost Mississippi River country, Wisconsin country, Minnesota country, and we're going to meet with Sarah Eglseder. Now, Sarah's a very interesting young lady. She's done a number of pro stats we'll talk about. Plus, she's been on the farm. Mom and dad raised hogs, and now her and her husband are raising goats. And so she sort of kind of knows way around the woods and the fields. But more important than that, she also serves the community as an EMT. So, and I have some pretty close ties with a few EMTs in Wisconsin. If you follow my social media posts. So, without further ado, Sarah, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Bruce, and I'm glad that you're okay.
Well, everybody is. Including me.
It had to have been pretty scary, though.
Yeah, it was. And as we talked extensively in the warm-up, I'm still somewhat on adrenaline. And we talked about, how fast some people heal and other people don't. And, what a crash like I had, has an effect on people. And I appreciate that, the insights you shared with me because, everything I told you said, oh, you had this, the thorax, where they put a tube in my chest, sucked out all the goop and reinflated my lung. But, when you say that, I just want to say to you and all the other people out there that are first responders, thank you. Because I probably wouldn't be alive today without them. So take a bow, girl.
Well, thank you. And we don't do it for that. We obviously do it because there is a need. And most communities around here have a lot of volunteers that take a lot of time out of their days to respond to calls like that.
Yeah. And, I was in north central Wisconsin, 4:30 in the morning, and I was on a main highway, 4-lane highway. So there were a lot of resources, but I know the country where you were at, and there's a lot of dirt roads in that country.
Yes, there is. There's lots of gravel. I do a lot of gravel travel to go hunting. So I enjoy it. I love where I live.
So let's just start talking about why you, as a lady, really love to hunt, and then we'll talk about the pro staffs and why you do that. But let's just talk about why you invite other women into your backyard and go hunting with them.
Well, to tell you the truth, I didn't always want to hunt. My dad hunted his whole life, as far as I could remember. He always went deer hunting, first season shotgun, which was just last weekend here in Iowa. And I absolutely had no desire to kill anything. I didn't want to have anything to do with it. I was almost one of those dreaded anti-hunters. And then I went to college and I majored in biology, and I discovered that hunting is a very part of the conservation process, even if I didn't want to do it. And then I got married, and on a whim, my cousin invited me to go coon hunting of all things. And I said, I don't do this. And he's like, that's okay, just come out. So I went out and I watched the dogs, and I had a blast. So within the next 2 weeks, my husband and I had bought dogs, a rifle, and we were out coon hunting almost every night.
It is coon hunting, and I did that when I was in college in Wisconsin. A lot of the guys that I was hanging with were farmers. I mean, their whole family was farmers. They, oh, this weekend we're gonna go hunt foxes and we're gonna chase some raccoons. I go, okay, what does that mean? And it wasn't just drinking beer and sitting in the truck and listen to the dogs. Well, some people think it's sort of kind of a party at night for the boys who go. But you get out there and the dogs are running, and especially if there's a moon, so I could see, and it's just really, really neat. I mean, and those raccoons, I mean, they can boogie.
Yes, they can, and it is very awesome to go out when it's cold and that full moon shining, and you find these big You see big bucks just all bedded down. And contrary to all beliefs, coon hunters do not chase the deer around. The dogs leave the deer alone. I have walked 50 to 100 yards from huge bucks, and they didn't even move. They didn't bat an eye. They didn't move a muscle. They just laid there and continued to just do whatever they were doing.
Yeah, that's good. And, thanks for bringing that up because so many times through misinformation or misinterpretation, people say, "Oh, well, it's this," and it really isn't this until you say, "Okay, I don't know anything about that." One, you're honest with yourself, and you say, "I'm going to find out about that," and you go like yourself and just had fun. I mean, if fun can be had at 0 degrees in the middle of the night,
chasing dogs up and down these bluffs by the rivers, yes.
Yeah, I'm just kind of laughing. I'm visualizing that, and it is a lot of fun, folks. It just is, in the camaraderie, husband, friends, whatever. It makes it all work. And if you love dogs, to see them work, it's the frosting on the cake.
And for the record, a turkey flying out of the roost sounds like a Tyrannosaurus Rex coming at you, because that has happened multiple times, and you run really, really fast.
Holy fright! I never even thought of that because obviously deer hunting. I've heard turkeys go to roost, and you hear them fly in and then
for not being able to see or know what's going on. It is terrifying, but once you figure it out, you're like, oh, it's just a bunch of turkeys.
Yeah, but that bunch is what, 20 or 30, 10 or 15? I don't know how big our flocks are.
It depends on how many turkeys are in the flock. I mean, we have groups that sometimes have up to 40 or 50. I mean, I've got that many on my trail camera every once in a while.
That would be noisy.
It was just a couple the night that we went, but man, I was like, what in the world is this? And it was just a couple turkeys flying overhead, and we ended up kicking them up again down the road a little bit more. The dogs treated a coon. That was obviously where they decided to set for a second time.
Well, I can tell you, out of 450 plus guests on my show, I've never had this conversation before. So this is a first. Thanks so much, Sarah, that we're talking about the nuances of running dogs and raccoons in Iowa. So, hey, folks, if you'd like to talk to me and educate me more, whitetailrendezvous@gmail.com. Love to hear from you. So, Sarah, so you're a farm girl, didn't hunt, some friends invited you out, coon hunting. You and your husband went, but what about the whitetail thing? Where did that all come up?
I went out coon hunting and I loved it so much. I'm like, there's no way I'll ever kill a deer. They're too cute. Following season, I borrowed a shotgun and I went shotgun hunting. I didn't tag out for 5 years. And my dad finally took me out early muzzleloader and we had success. I shot my first doe at 70 yards. I cried. I felt so guilty, but I also knew that as a conservationist, that this was something that needed to be done. And also, I love deer meat, and I was literally probably just craving the deer meat, and I could not wait to get that heart because that is my favorite.
Did you pickle it or garlic it, or what did you do with it?
I just fry it on the oven. I mean, I don't do anything special with it. I barely even season it, just a little salt. I take all of my meat to the Edgewood locker, so I don't butcher my.
Okay. Now let's go back to the hunting coons, running dogs, and as you shared a couple of minutes ago, the bucks wouldn't move, and you're talking, were they booners or just really nice mature bucks?
They're nice bucks. I mean, I've only seen probably 2 booners in the state of Iowa, and I've seen them both on my trail cam. Obviously, I've never had a chance at them because I've only shot 1 buck in my life, but I enjoy seeing them just as much as I enjoy hunting them.
That's interesting because Iowa has really a lot of big bucks. Is it just because of the section you're in, what, unit 1 or 3? I can't. I'm trying to see the map, but I can't remember what unit you're in.
I'm in Clayton County. I don't know units and stuff because I'm obviously from Iowa, so I don't really keep track of it.
Okay.
Clayton County butts up against the Mississippi Mississippi River on the east side, and we're just, I think, one county down from Minnesota. So we're also close to Illinois as well.
Now, are you any close to what was it, McGregor?
McGregor is in Clayton County. I'm probably about 30 miles from McGregor.
Okay, I had some friends. This was a long time ago. That's where they lived until they retired. But the bluff country is really interesting because it's steep. And if
Yes, it's very steep.
you hunt anything. I mean, it's up and down, just like the West is. It just you don't have the elevation, but it's still, it'll suck it out of you.
Yeah, I started working out because of that. I wanted to do myself a favor, and it's not fair to the game that I hunt if I'm out of shape. I mean, obviously, I'm not still in any shape, but I'm working on it because I care about myself and also because it makes it so much easier to walk up and down these hills.
Let's stay right there and talk about that because we all come in sizes and ages, as you and I discussed before. And,
Mm-hmm.
I really like what you said. We owe it to the animals, because we're not I can say to a man or woman, yeah, we use our trucks and ATVs to get places, but we're
Mm-hmm.
we're not hunting out of the vehicle. It's instead of walking, we're taking, a vehicle of some sort. But we owe it to the animals. Why do you say that?
Well, as you probably have experienced, anti-hunters, they think that we're just cold hard killers, murderers, and all that good stuff. But honestly, I enjoy, like I said, I enjoy the animal. I want to do the animal its justice. I mean, obviously, I'm taking its life. That is an important part of hunting to me as well, is respecting the animal enough. I don't want it to suffer. I don't want it to. I want it to die as soon as possible if I do choose to shoot one. But I also really just enjoy watching them.
Yeah, I like what you said, and again, other people had said similar things, but just the way you framed it, um, I like that because folks, we do owe our best to the animal pursue, whether you're up in the Arctic or down in Mexico. It doesn't matter where you are in the world hunting. You got to give that animal your best, and if you can't, maybe you ought to think about it.
I mean, I've lost a couple deer when I've been out archery hunting, and I've been sick. I've looked and looked and looked trying to find them, but I also know that they're not going to go to waste. We have plenty of coyotes around here. I mean, anybody in Iowa can tell you that. So obviously, even though I didn't find them, something's going to use it, and I just feel like that's part of the circle and everything. I just owe the animal the best and possible, like most possible way to go if I'm going to take one.
Yeah, and again, we owe them. We owe them that, and the other thing is, there isn't a hunter out there, guy, gal, rifle, muzzleloader, archery, that hasn't, lost an animal or had one hellacious, tracking job. And when they got to it, the animal was spoiled. I mean, that's
Uh-huh.
the way it is. And, you know, that's part of the hunt. And that personally drives me, if there's any question, I'm not going to stone, this, this animal. I'm just going to blow him up, put him down with my rifle or muzzleloader, and
Mm-hmm.
then I'm not going to take a shot. And two, with my crossbow, I hunt with a crossbow now,
Uh-huh.
and I that crossbow is a very efficient, machine, tool, whatever you want
Uh-huh.
to say. But I'm still very careful, even though I can make the shot. I'm very careful because I can't tell you how many times when I was hunting with a compound that it was a wide open shot, and I got it right drip, put the pin right behind the shoulder. Everything was right. Let the arrow go. The arrow never got there. Why? Because there was a twig there. There was a little branch. There was whatever, and sometimes that results in a very poor hit. It really does.
Uh-huh.
And so, uh, when you get focused on the deer so hard that you miss, you filter out all the stuff in your way. I think. Your
I
thoughts on that?
agree. I agree. I think sometimes you do get uh, narrow-minded and you do see just the deer, but I also don't. I hunt out of a ground blind, So my twigs and stuff like that, I have no interference. It's basically I'm shooting into a pasture. So I don't know the struggle, but I do know the struggle because I've made a perfect hit, and we have a bluff right behind one of my stands. And guess where that deer probably ended up going? Down the bluff. And it is almost impossible sometimes to get down there. So, I mean, I do my best, but I also know that there's a coyote den about 50 yards from my stand too. So I'm sure that they ate well that night.
Yeah. No, along the bluff on your side, there's typically a lot of roads or railroad tracks. Is that the same in your area along the bottom?
The closer you get to the river, yes. But where I hunt, it's strictly farmland. So the only way to get there is usually one road, and that's if you have permission to use that road. Um, some farmers have multiple fields, and some don't have access to the bottom of the bluff unless you take like a mule or a gator or something down there. It's not accessible by pickup, and we have a lot of horse people around too, so they do a lot of trail rides and stuff because that's the only way to get around in some of the areas.
Huh. Yeah, Iowa's an interesting place. With the changes in topography. Most people think of cornfields and
Well, we
wheat
have a lot of
fields.
cornfields too.
Well, yeah, I know that, but the bluffs are real, and they're gorgeous, especially in the fall. They're
Oh, it's
really,
beautiful.
really is beautiful. So moving on, so we started hunting, and we've had one or two situations where it didn't go so good for the deer. And why do you keep doing it? Why do you keep hunting?
Why? Um, Sometimes I ask myself that same question. I do it mostly because I enjoy the quiet and the not having to use my brain so much. Um, Being an EMT, also in paramedic school, and I work in a hospital as an MLT, which means I'm in a lab all day. And you need to use your brain a lot for both of those activities. So I'm also a mom, and sometimes you have to use your brain to do homework or troubleshoot things with the children. And I just like it where I can sit there and I can enjoy the peace and quiet, maybe take a book and read that's not medically related, and just enjoy sitting out there and enjoying nature. I mean, if I see a deer, I might not shoot that deer because I like to watch them too. I enjoy it so much.
Now you get trail cameras. Do they allow baiting in Iowa?
No, we're not supposed to bait. I do have a mineral block I put in front just so I can have a deer show up maybe, but I don't hunt over my trail cameras, so that's okay, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know. I know some places they do and some places they don't. So, um, interesting question. So, talk to me about the when you hunt. Do you hunt with your husband or you hunt with other friends or other gals? How's that work?
I go by myself. Um, he my husband does he has started hunting. He didn't always hunt. He grew up in the town. So when he moved to the farm and after I started getting into hunting, he went coon hunting a few times when he was growing up in town, but he doesn't he doesn't enjoy it like I enjoy it. Um, he does enjoy it. He's actually starting to go out and do more turkey hunting, which he likes more than deer hunting. Um, but he's starting to do the shotgun deer hunting thing too. I don't enjoy gun hunting as much. I prefer to shoot with my bow. But I'll pick up a gun to do some shotgun hunting if he wants somebody to go with him. But usually I go by myself.
So, all the ladies, thousands of ladies that are going to hear the show, um, let's talk about advice to them. One, getting started, staying with it, and working it through your spouse. Because some spouses are just, they want to go hunting every weekend, and other spouses, uh, once or twice a season is good enough for them. So, how do you manage all that?
Well, he knows how important it is to me. I mean, he knows that it's it's kind of something I have a lot of anxiety like with all of my other stuff, and he knows that it's something that helps with my anxiety. He also knows that I like to eat the meat, and I've been eating a lot more meat lately. I've been trying that keto diet that everybody does, and I eat a lot of meat, and I enjoy the deer meat, and being able to provide that for the family is also something that I like to do, and I think he likes that too. But
So go
otherwise,
ahead.
advice, I just keep at it. I mean, you'll have to, if you have children, you'll take your children. I take my kids once in a while. I'm not forcing it on them because it was never forced on me. And I think that if they want to, it'll come. And if they don't, I'll respect their decision. And I just keep at it and make a schedule and just learn as much as you can about what you're going to hunt, because you also owe that. You owe the practice, you owe the knowing where to shoot. Um, you owe that to the animal as well. So I mean, I did go out with my dad a few times to get, some of the things learned, and I still don't know everything. I still call my dad when I get an animal, just for one, because I'm so excited, and for two, because I'm still not 100% on how to gut an animal. I could probably muddle through it, but I prefer to have somebody there to help me, somebody that knows that, being as not a child, but knowing that I still need help. And, who else do you call but your dad?
That's nice. It's nice, one, you have a dad you can call, he's close enough, and
Oh,
two,
yeah.
he seems like he did a pretty good job with you of setting the stage, and whether he walked on it or not, he was still your dad, and that's way cool too.
Oh, yeah. Like I said, my dad, he never pushed it on me. I think the only time I ever remember him pushing something on me was when he wanted me to shoot the 410, and I could have swore that my arm was going to fall off afterwards, and I made a huge deal out of it. He never asked me to shoot a gun again. And then when I told him I was going to start hunting, I think he about had to sit down because he didn't believe me. And I don't think he ever thought that I would stick it out and keep going as much as I do.
Now, you mentioned you got a bow and you got a shotgun. Do you have shotgun sights, or do you have a red dot on it, or
Oh no,
a
I just
scope?
shoot right off the irons. I don't have a scope. I just shoot off the irons.
How about your compound? What kind do you use?
I have a Bowtech Carbon Rose, and um, I've had that for I think 3-4 years.
Well, that's a good segue into a short break here, folks. And as you'll find out in 2018, we're going to do a lot of these, gear tech talks, gear talks with my guests. And the simple question to you, Sarah, is what's the last piece of gear you bought?
The last piece of gear I bought was a Precision Peep.
Kristen Wolf. Props to you, girl.
Yes. I had seen multiple reviews for that, and I was getting new strings, so I thought, oh, the best thing to do is get a different peep while I had the strings off. I got the peep, and I was quite confused as to how to use it, but there's really good YouTube videos, and once I figured out how to use it, I was sold on it because I didn't need the level, which had fallen off of my sight, so I was having to get a new sight. So I didn't have to get a new sight now because I have the Precision Peep.
Let's talk about how that works. And you just said, it's working for you. One, how or why it works. Share with the listeners that fact.
Well, I have a 4-pin sight, and my pins are set at 10, 20, 30, and 40. So I know that when an animal comes out, I usually just guess about what my yardage is. I'm pretty good. I shoot, 3Ds and stuff like that. So I'm pretty good at guessing as to how far I want to shoot. That's within, you know, 35 to 40 yards. So what you do is you line your pin at the yardage. So if the deer is 10 yards out, you put your 10-yard pin where you want to shoot, and then you take the peep and you line your peep up so that all you can see is the 10-yard pin. All the other the peep sight lights are covered, and then you just release, and that's where it is. You don't have to worry about it being level because you're already level.
That gets back to as you're saying that gets back to the tunnel vision, the micro focusing on a deer where I didn't see some twigs and leaves and other crap in the way.
Mm-hmm.
Is that similar thought? Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, I mean, you just focus on the light on your sight, the fluorescent glow, and you just aim, and that the peep covers all the other sights, so you don't have to worry about confusion. Like, which sight am I using? You just pick your sight that you're going to use, and then you just shoot.
Pretty simple, isn't it?
Yeah, and a lot of people, I know the steady form is the same way. A lot of people say, "Oh, it's a gimmick. It's a gimmick." It's not a gimmick. It really does work. I mean, I try not to have conversations like that because people are going to believe what they want to believe, and all you have, I mean, a lot of these companies, you just give it a try, and most of them, I mean, they'll give your money back if you don't like it, but most people just would rather badmouth things than to actually give a company a chance.
Yeah, we're strange animals, Ford Chevy, sort of, kind
I
of.
know. Yep, that's exactly right. Kind of like any kind of brand, you got your bows, you got your guns, all that good stuff. Makeup or no makeup appears to be a big thing too, and I don't care either way. I'm just
Yeah,
I'm one of those people. You could shoot a huge buck or you could shoot a little Bambi, and I would be like, that's awesome, congrats. I don't
yeah.
I don't get into all that gear comparing or deer comparing or whatever.
And a lady, Brenda Valentine, shared with me when I first started out. She was one of my first 10 guests, and she said, "Bruce, it's your hunt, it's your tag, it's your money. If you're going on a guided trip, and it's your deer. Whether,
As long,
just like I said, if it's
yep.
spike buck or Mr. Wonderful, that's 30-point buck. They don't exist. I'm exaggerating, but you
tell,
get the
tell you
point.
the truth, this last deer that I shot, it was not a huge deer, but for as hard as I worked for it this season, it could have been the hugest buck, and I still would have been just as proud as I was of this deer that I shot. It was just a little doe. It was all by itself, and I debated. I kicked it around. I'm like, do I shoot this deer? Do I not shoot this deer? And I'm like, I really want some meat. I know my freezer's getting low. I'm like, I'm going to. And you know what? I shot it, and I was just so tickled pink that I shot this deer, and I didn't care. I mean, I'm like, I know it's small, but I don't care.
Yeah, and folks, each one of us have a choice. We're all from the same community. We all drive a truck. Let's just stay with the Ford and Chevy, but let's support
Hmm.
each other. And all
I
this
think
other nonsense is
hmm
stupid, in my opinion.
I agree 100%. I hate it. I hate seeing all the bickering. I really do. I think it's really petty, and I really wish everybody would just grow up. I mean, honestly, we are all on the same team, and we are hurting each other when we do that stuff.
Yeah, well said, and I can't agree more. So let's give a shout out to Precision Peaks, Kristen Wolf. How would somebody find them? Do you know the URL off the top of your head?
Oh, I think it's just www.precisionpeeps.com. I mean, you could search them on Facebook. That's kind of, I saw a couple posts shared on Facebook, and that's kind of how I got interested in them. And I started asking questions. And after I tried it, I inquired about being on a staff. And she said, "Oh, we're not going to take staff." And then she wrote back later, and she's like, "Yeah, we changed our minds." And I'm like, "Oh, that's awesome." And she's like, "So you're going to be on our staff, right?" And I'm like, "Sure."
All right, folks, that's an end of gear talk, but we're just going to roll into something that Sarah's done really well and is becoming somebody that people can talk about, Precision Peeps and other companies. So, one, let's tell the folks what companies you are pro staff for. Two, what is a pro staff? What do they do? What are roles and responsibilities? And then the third part is, okay, so I'm on a pro staff. I do X, Y, and Z, but really, what does that, what's in it for me, or what's in it for the company?
Well, honestly, I know I'm not professional. I consider pro staff promotional because that's what I do. I pick gear that I like, and I really believe in the gear that I use, and that's the only reason why I staff some of these companies is I really believe in what they stand for. Um, I'm on a few staffs. Oh, you're gonna make me think now. Um, I'm on
Excuse me.
dirt.
Go ahead.
I'm on Dirt Nap Gear. They're broadheads. I talk to them at had a bow, and I bought the broadheads because their owner Tom, he's amazing. He's such a down to earth gentleman. He really, I mean, he makes a great product, and I have their product the entire time I've been in archery, and it's never been the product's fault for me. I mean, the product is proven deadly for me.
How about
That's
busted
my
arrow?
fault. A busted arrow, Danielle. She's from Wisconsin. I became friends with her from the Madison Deer and Turkey Expo. She's got some great workout clothes, and I've been. She asked me to be on her staff because I'm a female that's fairly positive. I won't say I'm positive 100% of the time, but I like to see people succeed. And then Cypress Bottom, I got a friend Shay. She's on Steady Form with me. She's an amazing role model too. I just enjoy watching her, and she's one of those people that she is very uplifting. I have nothing but good to say about her. And the Cypress Bottom game calls, I've grunted. I had amazing luck with that. I have seen some amazing deer because of the grunt call. Nothing that would come close enough for me to shoot, but I have seen some decent deer that I would have shot had they come close enough. And Steady Form, I was kind of skeptical, but I'm glad I took the chance with that because it's just basically another place so you don't torque. And I have lost friends over this deal because there's a lot of people that you put things on your bow and they just get a little scared because it might make them, whatever. But I truly only support products that I really believe in.
Now,
I'm
who
not one of
runs Steady Form? Who's in charge of
Steady
that?
Form. Nick Albanese is in charge of that, and
And
he's a
he's
rock
on.
star. He's a rock star, awesome guy too. I mean, I had so many questions for this poor man when I was putting this thing on my bow. I bet he was ready to throw me out the window.
Nick Albanese is just a super guy, and if you go back, I think he was in the 300s with Whitetail Roundabout. But Nick, he can't find a finer man. He's got a
Oh, he's great.
great product. He does a great deal with his team. So, you know, and he's from New Jersey. He's out east. He's not even, west of the Mississippi, but we'll put up with him anyway, right?
Yep, that's totally true.
And then one more, Real Girls Camo. What's that all about?
It's basically just a community of, it's a group for women, to help other women decide, if they want to, like, if they have questions, it's kind of like a safe place for them to go. We're very uplifting, very, very, promotional for women. We want to see women succeed in the outdoors, and we want to see them do it and, do it correctly. I mean, we like to see good role models, and a lot of good role models come out of there too.
That's great. And you got one last combat iron apparel. Are you
Yes.
into Tai Chi or
No,
karate or?
I joined them because one of my friends who's in the military, I'm like, I'm not in the military. I never was in the military. I'm like, I don't even know why you want me to apply here. And he's like, well, you're working out. You're an EMT. You support law enforcement. You support military. You love your country. Why not? And I'm like, okay. I'm like, but I'm not going to be accepted because I'm not in any kind of shape for these people. And they accepted me because, I love my EMTs and my LEOs and my fire people. And of course, I love my military and I love my country. So I was accepted for that too.
That's now. So it is women's apparel only, or is it guys' apparel
No,
too?
it's guys and gals. It's basically it's military based. I mean, there's a lot of military guys and gals that are on there, but it's pro LEO. Lots of law enforcement, lots of people who aren't military. They're veterans, but they do a lot of like fire department and cops and of course us EMTs as well.
So is it tactical gear or is it camo gear?
It's fitness gear pretty much.
Okay, because I wasn't familiar with it. So
I
okay,
mean,
we just go ahead.
I've got I've got some gear that I wear out hunting. I mean, they've got a lot of greens and stuff like that too. So, and they always have a funny saying on a shirt.
All right. So now, okay, that was the first part, and I realized I I asked you 3 questions at once, and I apologize for that. So now you get these companies, and Tom Alderman with Dirt Nap Gear.
Mhm.
I agree with you. He's just an ace high guy, and I really I enjoyed my conversations with him also. And unfortunately, because of my wreck, I wasn't able to do any field testing for his DRTs. Um, but he runs a good product. As there's thousands of people that run a good product, so you're on the team, pro staff, promotion staff. Thanks for letting people know that for Dirt Nap. And so, what do you do?
Basically, I I promote it. I share posts. I don't do a lot. I share posts. I take pictures with my harvest. I take pictures in gear. Just the stuff that everybody else does. I have no problem going to like the Deer Classic and hanging out in the booth for a little while so we can help people understand the product because that's a lot of the thing. Every product is pretty much the same on the market. It's just I prefer the company and how the company treats you. I mean, Tom is a great guy. Nick's a great guy. Um, Danielle, she's awesome. And a lot of that has to do with why I buy these products is I like the people that are behind the products and I like to support small business and I like to support the people that take care of, their people as well.
So you represent, you take some pictures, put it on social media, and you go to shows every once in a while. So
Hmm.
what's in it for you? Do they give you free product, or you know?
I I prefer not to get free product. I know that sounds kind of whacked out, but it costs them money to send product to me. If that was how the company was run, yeah, you get a discount or whatever. But I do it just because I love the product and I'm using the product. And if they can sell an extra thing because I'm using it, then I'm helping them out too. I mean, I'm not in it to be famous. I never want to be. I never wanted to do anything on to make me famous. Did I want to be on TV when I first started? Maybe, but now I have no desire to be on TV. And I kind of question why I even signed up to do this with you, but I'm glad I did actually.
Well, thank you. I'll stay right there. I need all the props I can get. So, one, how did we meet? Did we meet on Instagram? I'm
I
just
have
trying to
no
think.
idea.
Okay, okay, so that worked. So why? I know you were nervous. We talked about that in the warm up in Facebook Messenger. But having said that, why now do you find that this wasn't so bad?
um, well, for one, you're easy to talk to. I mean, you're not that scary. I just find like microphones and recordings and stuff like that scary. I think a lot of this has to do with I wanted to promote, maybe some girl out there is thinking, oh, I should start hunting, but I don't know what to do, I mean, maybe I'll inspire somebody. A lot of what I do is maybe someday I will do something and it will help somebody else. It will change somebody else's life. It will touch somebody so that way they can go and do whatever they want. Like I work EMS. Maybe someday, like I question my sanity about doing the paramedic class, working 5 days a week. But deep down in my gut, someday somebody is going to do something great. And it will be because maybe I had this little hand in whatever they were doing. I mean, I don't know why I do some of the things that I do.
Well, as we said, either the warm up at the beginning of the show, a salute to all the first responders for my little mishap, because it couldn't have been better. As soon as they showed up on scene, I knew, one, I wasn't going to die. Two, I was going to get well taken care of and get to a facility pronto. And it just builds confidence when people come in, they take care, they know what they're doing, and they take care of business. And again, I said this before, but thank you, and thanks for the millions of people that do that, because you never know when you're going to need that person to show up.
And that's exactly why I do what I do because you never know when somebody is going to need you.
Yep, and I hope my needs have run out, and I'm done with that.
And that's usually what I say. I'm glad to have met you, but I would prefer to not meet you under these circumstances.
Thank you very much. Thank you. very much. Um, let's end up the show with some whitetail techniques. You said you've seen bucks. You're hunting your farm, your dad's farm, your uncle's farm, and you went 4 years without putting down a deer in Iowa, which most people would scratch their heads on. So let's talk about what you're learning and how you're applying what you're learning, so you can close the gap. To harvest something. Year in, year out.
Well, I'm always learning. I guess you never stop learning, and if you do stop learning, then maybe you should change what you're doing because you're obviously bored with it. I guess what I learned the most was that deer have a mind of their own, and what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to think like a deer. I'm trying to anticipate their moves more. This year it was really tough to hunt the rut because I had started the job in the lab like 6 weeks before rut, and I don't have enough time with school and all that to take the time off like I usually do from work. So I just got a few days out, and I had a Friday off. I was going hunting all day, and I get to my guy that hunts a field close to me. Hey, I just shot a big buck. I'm going to be walking through your set. So immediately I was like, well, now what am I going to do? So I'm like, well, it's kind of early. I'll switch. And I switched up. And as I was other stand, I was walking out in the field, and there's this giant buck chasing a doe. And I'm like, oh, crap, what do I do? So I bedded down in a little bit of tall grass with some hay bales around. I tried calling, had a little buck and another decent-sized buck come in. It just wasn't my year. And like my dad says, it'll be your time when it's your time. So I just keep doing what I'm doing. I keep plucking away. Someday I'll get a chance at a buck. I have shot a buck with my bow, but I lost it. It went down that bluff, like I said. I was really heartbroken. I spent days looking for it, and I never found it. So it'll be my time to get my buck when it's my time to get my buck.
What a great attitude. And with that, we're just going to wrap the show. I know you're traveling and hands-free, folks. And Sarah, it's just been a joy, and I hope someplace down the road. I was going to get to the Iowa Deer Classic in Des Moines, but I ain't traveling no place this year. Either by certain, sure as heck not going to drive in the wintertime. I got to work through that, but everybody says I'll get through it. But having said that, I am planning to hunt the Midwest again, come next fall. So hopefully I'll have an opportunity to at least buy a cup of coffee, stop by and say hi to the family. And because you're not far, I know right where you are. So, you're a special person. I guess I'm fumbling over myself, but you're a very special person on a lot of fronts. And just, I'm so happy you decided to be a guest of Whitetail Rendezvous.
Well, I'm very happy to be a guest, and I'm very happy to have had this discussion with you. And I thank you so much for your kind compliments. I don't take compliments very well either, and I just appreciate you taking your time to have me.
I'm real pleased to have Tim Cool. Tim is the founder and owner of Prodigy Outdoors. So if you're on social media at all, you've seen some of Tim's work and some of his posts. And Tim's going to talk about in today's show, buck fever, target panic, whatever you want to call it, and how he overcame it. And then he's going to talk about scoring deer on the hoofs. Some people really are interested in putting a buck down that meets their criteria. Not anybody else's, but their criteria. So he's going to help you do that. And the biggest thing I think he's going to say is saving your hunt. Some big things that I learned this year. By saving your hunt, it's all about the memories, because the hunt lasts X. When we let the arrow go or shoot the bullet, it doesn't take any time at all for it to get there. So it's everything leading up to, during, and after that makes hunting what it is today. Listen to Tim as he says some great secrets.
Thanks for joining us. Be sure to tune in tomorrow for another episode of Whitetail Rendezvous, where you can listen and learn from the experts so you can be more successful on your next hunt. Until next time, listen, learn, and succeed.